Welcome, welcome. We're going to be talking about traffic court. You know, I have a yellow and then a red and then a green. This is not for traffic court, traffic safety. This is about using washes and so forth. So I know I'm not going to use all these washes in this demonstration today, but I'm just going to kind of give you guys what I do with them and kind of go from there. And you know, just the basics on washes. What do they do? You know, they're you know, in some respects they can be considered talent in a jar or talent in a bottle. You know, and you know they're called that from time to time. But overall, they're a big help to beginner painters as well as expert painters because you can use them in a lot of different ways. But I'm really going to focus on tonight is how the simplest ways you can use them and to generate maximum impact on your miniatures and so forth. But tonight I've got three colors. I've got green, I've got red, and I've got yellow. It was actually supposed to be orange. I don't know why it came out that way, but whatever. It was an orange ink. I guess it's yellow, whatever. Anyway, so I do all these demonstrations on the Green Army Men because it's a cheap, inexpensive way for me to demonstrate all these techniques that I show you in my tutorials. You can do the same thing practicing these tutorials. These plastic Army Men are cheap, and you can practice all the techniques that I'm doing just like I am with the same tools. You can do it with dinosaurs. You can do it with anything of this nature. You get them in a bag. So anyway, so I've got a couple here from different manufacturers. I've got Army Painter. I think Army Painter makes some of the best washes. I've got Strong Tone. I've got Soft Tone. I've got Green Tone. I've got that's Army Painter. Citadel, Seraphim Sepia. I've got Caribou Crimson. Everybody knows this one, Nuln Oil. This is the must-have. This is the one everybody will drench their minis in. Now, Drakenhof Nightshade, now this is Drakenhof Nightshade. I really like this one. But my favorite of all of them, and I love to use this one in my airbrush as well, is this one, Corellia Green Shade. I don't know what that name's from. I don't have a clue, but I really like the name. Let me switch this one out with the one I've opened already. So, and I've also got Cassandora Yellow. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Cassandora Yellow, and Reikland Flesh Shade. Now, Reikland Flesh Shade is pretty much the same thing as Soft Tone. They're like a flesh tone if you want. Quick flesh tone with these two. Also, Seraphim Sepia has a little bit of a flesh tone as well, but it's kind of darker. I can open it up. You can see it's pretty dark. Obviously, this one's more of a purple shade. Anyway, to the point, the washes can generate a darker color. They provide shading where there is none. And they're designed to go into the recesses of areas where you can't quite get with your brush and so forth. So I'm going to start demonstrating with a green tone on the green miniature Army Man. So this is a pretty bright green already. It almost looks gray on the camera, so forgive me, but it is a bright green, but it's pretty flat looking. So if we add in the green shade, this is the Army Painter, again, Army Painter has some really nice washes. They're some of the best that I use. But I do have a lot of the Citadel as well, and they're good too. Now, shades, you can use them right out of the bottle, okay? Normally when you use acrylic, these are acrylic washes. But you can use washes right out of the bottle. You don't need to mix it with water. You don't have to. Now, acrylic paint, normally you want to mix that with water. In this case, you're not. This is a wash. You don't need water. You can, but you don't need to. Now, there's a reason you would add to dilute it. I'll see if I can cover that tonight. Okay, so all I did was load up my brush, kind of get a little bit of excess off, and then I put it on there. And what it does is it jumps into the recesses. I'm just going to color this shirt in this dark green color. Okay? All I'm going to do. And see how all it does is it darkens it up. That's all it's doing. It'll dry like that too. And all it's doing is providing a little depth. This is where the talent in a bottle comes from. It makes it look like you sat there and you painted dark lines around it and everything. No, you didn't. No, I didn't either. So it's a quick and easy way to get good results quickly. Once you get past the base coat cross step. Now, I've seen people paint miniatures completely with washes. You can do that, but it does take a lot of coats. And I'm serious, a lot of coats. It does look pretty cool, but it might get a little expensive because you're going to use a lot. Okay, so there, that's the green. So you see, all you're doing is you're shading it in. All right, now we're going to change it up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move away from the green, and I'm going to go with a brown style. Let's go with the Reikland Flesh Shade. So we're going to do his pants in this brown color, and we're going to see what it does to the green. And you can experiment with that on what washes do, and they add different types of saturation hues to your paints and your finished product. Oops, excuse me. One of the things I don't like about GW pots or Citadel pots is that right there, the closing of the lid. All right, so now we're going to just do this. All we're doing is just adding in this other color here. Yep, that's it. Just putting the wash on. You can put it on kind of heavy if you want. Now, a little warning about washes. They're lazy, and they will pull in the least resistant spot, and you will get what's called a coffee stain of sorts. It will look kind of like or like marking and so forth. So you have to be conscious of where they're building up and move it around. It takes a little longer than regular acrylic paint to dry, but yeah, that's a good thing. You want it to take a little longer. All right, so there you go. So that's like a reddish brown here, okay? So it kind of changes it up on the bottom. Top is green, bottom is kind of a reddish brown. Okay, now we're going to jump to the Nuln Oil, and we're going to do use the Nuln Oil on the yellow one. Now this is the one that everybody knows. The most popular wash out there is the Nuln Oil, or in some cases, it's a dark wash, which in Army Painter or Strong Tone, it's this one, very strong Nuln Oil. Okay, it's the same thing. Nuln Oil is basically a dark gray to a black. All I'm going to do is I've got to get some on my brush and just start putting it on there. Now, all it's doing is just putting dark solid lines all over the figure. Bold lines. It does make it look a little cloudy, you want that, that's perfectly fine. Sometimes what I will do when I use Nuln Oil is I will do this process and then I will paint over certain spots to give it a highlight area, kind of really, just the high points, I'll paint over those because it will look like it's really shaded in and it's darkening it up. So that's pretty cool how it does that, and it will make it look dirty. So if you use it heavily, it will do that. But in this case, for this tutorial, we want to show maximum exposure in this case. Okay, so that's pretty cool how that works. That's the Nuln Oil on the top, basically from his belt up. And see, it's kind of, it almost made the yellow turn brown. Or maybe a very, camera looks kind of almost green. I'm looking on the camera, but yeah, it's kind of a brown color. That's okay. That's what I was talking about, is it changes the colors of the paint a little bit. So you got to bear that in mind when you're using some of the washes. Now I'm going to switch over to an actual yellow color. And we're going to darken it up. You can darken up the yellow. Well, you know what? I'm going to use red. Something of a red color. That's this Carroburg Crimson. Okay? And we're going to do the bottom half, his lower half in the Carroburg Crimson. Now, I'm not too worried about some of the paint got pulled off. That's ink. It didn't apparently cure properly, but that's okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and see. Look at that. That's kind of weird looking. But see how it changed the color? But all we're doing is applying it generously to the rest of the mini or to the figure. It's pretty cool looking. It's almost like a violet color. Actually, it's not really red, but it's crimson, I guess. I don't use this one too often. Not many times you're going to use a red wash, but I'm using it this time. Okay, so there you have it. Bottom is red. So you see how it's changed up? So Nuln Oil on the top, Carroburg Crimson on the bottom where the legs are. It's changed it up a little bit, and so forth. So, but it's added the details, shaded in a lot. It's made it look like I spent a lot of time on it. In reality, this whole thing has taken less than 3 minutes to do. So, I mean, that's it. So, now we're going to go over to the red. And I don't know what happened there, but that's okay. I'm not worried about that. We're going to use, where is my purple? I have my purple out. Oh, it's over here. Okay, we're going to use Druchii, I don't know if I'm saying it, Druchii Violet on him, and we're going to use it on his legs. Okay, just on his pants. Okay. Remember, all the washes do is they go down into the recesses, and they affect the color of the overall paint that you have on there. And you're just going to play around with it, see what it does. You can get different results. But the bottom line is you want it to look shaded. Purple's a nice one you can use with red. I've used it a couple of times on red paint. It does really well, as long as it's diluted in some cases. But in this case, because the red is so bright, I'm using a heavy application of the red. I'm sorry, heavy application of the purple, or the Drucci Violet in this case. So, and again, you got to watch out for that collection of the wash. So like right here, that's really a heavy concentration of the wash. So I just grab it and I move it down. That's it. And see how what it does is it grabs all the details and it kind of brings them out. So it's pretty cool. So let me see. I'll bring this up closer. So, okay. And last wash color we're going to use is going to be we're going to use the Coelia green shade on the red. I don't know what this is going to do. I'm going to try it. Like I said, I do like this shade. Really nice. One of my favorite ones. It's almost a black or a gray, but it's kind of weird how it looks on this red. But yeah, you can get some interesting effects by using different washes all over your base coats. It almost looks black, but it's not. Okay. So there it is. Whoops, let me drop that. So this, in review. So this was originally red. You look at it closely. It has some shading to it. Top is Coelia green shade, and the bottom is Drucci Violet. And as it dries, the purple tone starts to come out. It really starts to bond with the red very well. The green, it's kind of got a little bit of a grit look to it, so it's starting to really show itself out. But it's going to take more time because I just applied it. Again, I've got a lot of buildup right there above the flamethrower weapon he has. So that's not a good thing. You don't want that. You want to pick that up with a brush. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'll move it around. There we go. Okay, so going back to the green one. Top was completely green, a green shade. Okay, so it looks nice. It's got a nice shade to it. It's got the dark areas and light areas. Down here is more of a brown tone on the bottom. As you can see right here, there's a lot of browning going on, browns, so forth. You can do that with the green. It bonds with it very well. Brown and green, it really shows up. You can also do red, but red would be a more specific color to a specific type of feeling to the miniature or the model. And then here I used the Caribbean Crimson, and then up here we used Nuln Oil. So Nuln Oil just doesn't, it just clouds it up, it darkens it. It looks good on this. If it was say white, it would look really dirty. Luckily, this was yellow, or this is more orange, and the gray is really starting to poke through. That it was primed with it's kind of hiding all that, but it is cloudy, as you can see, and it does darken it up, and that's what it's supposed to do. So now what I would typically do after this, in this case, is I would come back with the same exact color. I painted this before the wash, and then I would only hit the tops, with the same color, and make sure I hit the tops of each wrinkle, and it would be a highlight, and you're done. So it's miniature painting to a very basic process. So, but that's it. All in all, that's Tutorial Tuesday. If you got any questions or anything, please do not hesitate to comment below, or you want to offer suggestions on other tutorials that I can go over. I'm all ears. Again, this is Tutorial Tuesday covering washes. Appreciate everybody that came by. Thank you so much. Again,